who's in the room, and one day we'll hopefully get to meet you all at other settings.
All right, I am going to have to, like I told you, my presentation skills aren't perfect, and this is one example. I'm gonna have to mess around a little bit with this so that I can get you into our word cloud. And one of the things we wanted to know is, why are you here today? What issues of racial justice or racial equity and social justice does your organization need to address? And I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment and go grab my links, which I foolishly didn't have ready for you. I will drop that in the chat. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to type into this site some of the reasons that you're here today, and then we'll be able to see that evolve into a word cloud, so we can kind of have a sense of what people are hoping to learn today or explore.
Do you want to put the slide back up, Rosemary?
Yes, I'm trying to.
Oh, okay.
I'm having problems. We might have to forego this whole thing. Hold on a second.
So the question is, what issues of racial equity and social justice does your organization or community need to address? Or like, what are you hoping to get out of this?
Okay, so there we go. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Yes, I'm having. So if you just click on the link that I dropped in the chat, you can add to it. I don't know why it's not cooperating with us.
I think it's asking us to log in.
I know, and it's, hold on. I see, no, okay, we're gonna have to skip this part, I think. I'm sorry, because I don't want us to drag it out. And I'm not sure why it's not wanting to work with us today.
So people could just put it in the chat too, Rosemary.
Yeah.
So since we have kind of a lot of participants, if everybody just, to save time, people could just put it in the chat in terms of like what issues you're looking to bring to your own challenge, or what you would like to highlight within your own community.
So we've got not partnering with law enforcement, corporate responsibility, passionate staff, lackluster action from leadership, inclusive schools. Hopefully, I think we can talk about these things and really give you all some tools. Colorism and language justice. Conversations are being discouraged in the workplace because they are seen as political. Those are all definitely some challenges that we've seen, and food and healthcare access. All right, so go ahead and feel free to continue adding to that list. Ageism, opportunities for growth for all staff. And so that's the great thing about this opportunity, and what we're going to share with you is you can create this project to be meaningful for your population. And that's kind of what, it'll take a little extra time, but it's definitely worth it when you see it coming. Weight bias, food and healthcare access, being an organization where everyone feels welcome. So yes. So what is the 21-day challenge? And Quay can fill you in a little bit. She has a great way of describing it.
So I'm sure some of you have participated in our challenge. We just finished ours recently, but just a quick description of what a 21-day racial equity and social justice challenge is. It's similar to like when you think about an exercise plan. If you all have done, any sort of New Year's resolution or like decision on getting healthier, you say, okay, I'm going to do something for 30 days, and every day it's going to, I'll run 1 mile the first day, and I'll try to get to 20 miles, to a marathon by the end of the year. So the whole concept of a 21-day racial equity and social justice challenge is that every single day You participate in an exercise or a challenge, whether it's reading a book, watching a video, listening to a podcast, and you do this for 21 days. And it's, instead of building your physical muscles, we're building our emotional and mental and spiritual muscles in terms of understanding racial justice. So a lot of it is around learning and then reflecting. And then, as similar to an exercise regimen, we build on that. So you start off with maybe just kind of understanding what basic terminology is, to every single day having more and more complex ideas. And our hope is that once you build a habit of this, it's kind of like, you know what, you can't unlearn what you know, and then you continue that habit. So just like exercising, is that you want to continue learning and continue growing. And I think that that's the only way we can really move towards social justice, towards equity, and understanding these issues, is that it's not just like a one-time deal, but it's an everyday practice. And it could be as little as 5 minutes, or, you know, all day long, but it can be done in any sort of lifestyle. And then what's also great about the challenge is that if you're doing it with your friends or family or your organization, then you're building momentum and talking to each other about the things that you're learning and discussing as a community. And then it's integrated in, like, you know, your breaks, or in your meetings, or, you know, taking a walk after work or during dinner. So we see it as like integrated within your life. Anything else to add, Rosemary?
No, I'll just go ahead and share with you some examples. This is not our bright idea. This originated with many other people have done this before us, and we learned from their work. And we'll share these slides with you, and each one of these is linked to the original challenges. So I first actually found out about this challenge through my daughter, who lives in New England, and Food Solutions New England had a 21-day challenge that was centered on food equity and the problems involved with access to healthy food. The Cuesta challenge is primarily modeled after the YWCA of Greater Cleveland. And we used a lot of their resources and ideas and structures as we developed our own. And Dr. Allie Michael is a scholar who came and spoke at Cuesta's opening day a few years ago. One of the things that she suggested that we do is to try this ourselves. And so Quay took it seriously, and our Equity and Student Success Committee put together a work group that designed our own to be relevant in particular to our own community. And that was the spring 2020 version of it. And then we had COVID in the middle of it. So it disrupted what we thought we were doing, and it took us, we still continued on with it throughout the semester. And then this past fall, especially after the events of the summer and with what was going on with the election, we really thought we needed to update it and revise it. And so we made it really applicable to what was going on in the world right then, but also to the San Luis Obispo community, because we opened it up and we brought in folks from Cal Poly and some other local organizations to contribute to it. So Quay, did you want to talk more about this?
Yeah, or I think we're going to click on to the fall just to give you a sense of what it is. Oops.
Sorry, I told you I'm not to be trusted. Okay, are you seeing it now?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you. So again, our challenge, what we did was to kind of just respond to post-COVID times. This was obviously after George Floyd, a lot of the protests that were happening over the summer, the election, a lot of the current events that were happening, we felt like we really needed to incorporate in our new challenge. So again, Rosemary will share these slides, and you can find this on our Cuesta website. But we decided this time around to break it up into like 3 days a week. So a lot of folks from the last challenge was saying it was really hard because some of the topics are very triggering, very emotional, you know, really heavy in heart and minds in a sense. And so a lot of folks responded by saying it would just be more practical for us to break it up into 3 days a week. So like the way we exercise, some say that you can't, we can't exercise 5 days a week. So let's do it 3 days a week. So we started with the basics on how to get started. It includes a journal. So every time you do a challenge, you can jot down what your reflections are. We did some definitions on just understanding. At that time, a lot of time, the buzzword at that time was like understanding what, systemic racism was. Some people not even understanding that racism even exists in our society, or they thought of it as much more of an individual, like KKK kind of situation. And so we really wanted to like set up, a basis for, understanding terminology and white supremacy. We did a week on voting because this was during the fall. So it was obviously an election year, a very big election year. It was also the anniversary of, women's suffrage. And so we went into like pay tribute to that. And then we sat there as a team. So this was a team of folks from our college and Cal Poly, as well as Race Matters Slow. And we also worked with the K through 12 San Luis Obispo school district. And we thought about things that were important to us in terms of topics. And we decided to work on, there was a lot of things around the monuments coming down at that time. And so we wanted to include that. And again, this is all very local. So we really wanted to like do a global, national understanding, and then bringing it back to like how it affected San Luis Obispo. And then obviously we had like a policing section, because there was a lot of talk around police brutality, and for years and years, but it was a huge issue during the summer. And then obviously with COVID, we wanted to spend some time talking about how racism plays out in COVID and healthcare. And then because we're an educational institution, we also focus on education. And then we spent the last week on saying, so now you have this knowledge, what are you going to do about it? So Rosemary, feel free to chime in, but the 3 days we spent on the first day having a global perspective, the second day having a local perspective, and the third day was highlighting groups on the ground, especially in our local area, that were doing the work, and then how you can be involved. So that was kind of how we framed our challenge, was like every day you learned about a topic on a larger scale. You learned how it was playing out in our county, and then you learned about organizations that were doing amazing advocacy and organizing work on that specific topic that you can get involved with, whether it's contributing money, going to a rally, going to a meeting, being part of an organizing group. So that's how we organized our challenge. If it wasn't during COVID times, we would have probably had like brown bag lunches or meetups where, like every Friday or every weekend, those who are involved in the challenge can come together and talk about it. So a lot of this is around building community, but that was really hard during COVID times. And so we try to do that or ask folks to do it in pairs or groups or within their own departments, and then have discussions informally as much as they could. But obviously, hopefully during post-COVID, we would have bigger events, and at the end have some sort of celebratory, like, yay, we accomplished this. But and even at the end, it's just only the beginning, was kind of what we said. Rosemary, do you want to add anything in terms of the challenge?
Not really, because I want to make sure we get to a little bit of the how-to before we throw everybody in the breakout rooms. Yeah, and so the big thing here too is going beyond the inquiry and the reflection. I mean, those are the foundation of this, but then moving to action. So I think a lot of you heard Trey Johnson wrote an article this summer when Black people are hurting, white people join book clubs. And so we're trying to go beyond that book club mentality and take that next step into action. And by doing it as a community or an organization, it can give you the momentum and the information that you need to take those steps. But we'll say stop before you get started. Really watch out for perpetuating the stereotypes and structures that have already that have caused the need for this. And so some of the things that we want to really make sure of are that we define the group, figure out who is in the room. Ensuring that you're centering the voices of Black, Indigenous, and people of color. I identify as a white cisgender woman. It is not my place to be dictating all of this information. It's in fact a learning opportunity for me. And while I'm involved in the research and the scholarship in this area, I'm not living this life. And so I think, Quay invited in some really important voices that represented a variety of lived experiences. Our first round, if you go look at our first version, admittedly, it's quite white centered. But then the fact of the matter is the people who needed to learn the most were white folks. So it's a balance. And that's why it's so important to have a good combination of people in the room. Decide on how much time you want to take. The first time we did 4 challenges a week. And as I explained, we switched it down to 3. Look at who is going to take on the jobs and be clear about role definition. I don't know, in teaching my classes, I know my students always get nervous when I say we have a group project, but that's generally because people don't know what their jobs are. We had a really great separation of powers, if you want to say that, and each of us had a certain element that we would work on. And then I think what really enhanced the fall challenge was bringing in other community organizations and bringing in other scholars to help us out with it. Quay, do you want to share a little bit about how the structure of this came together?
Yeah, sure. So just to kind of like tag team with Rosemary, when just an earlier point about who's in the room or who you're going to put together to help you with your challenge, was that one of the challenges too was just making sure the language and the resources you pick. There's so much out there, YouTube, like social media, articles, and especially over this last year and what's happened, you can find so much information. But for us, like what Rosemary said, is that we really wanted to center BIPOC voices. And so almost like if you look in our fall challenge, almost every single article, video or podcast or material that we put on there was written or developed by the community or the group that were affected mostly by the issue. So you really want to make sure that you have that lens, because I think it's really, really easy, like what Rosemary said, to like, given white supremacy and whiteness, to like center our voices on things that are normalized, but really, really giving honor to those who have been doing this work for such a long time. In terms of just the framework of what Rosemary was saying, is that this probably took us, so we had a team of 5, and we probably all spent, like, I would say, like almost 100 hours, like doing this work, because part of the difficulty too was, one of the things I forgot to mention is that within each day of the challenge, we provided 1 to 3 options. So it wasn't like everyone had to do the same challenge. And we wanted to make sure each option ranged from like something less than 10 minutes to something that could be like, an hour, 2 hours, or a whole book or something like that. So it depends on how much time you want to contribute. But for example, learning about redlining in 5 minutes is like really hard to do, and then some of the videos are really great and some of them aren't. And so we had to vet every single video or article or podcast. So that meant we're watching all of them, we're reading all of it to the beginning to the end. Because we're a public institution, we had issues with profanity or issues with language or whatnot. So we had to look at all of that, and that takes a lot of time and effort. So for us was, what Rosemary was saying, we had to split it up. And then not only did we have to find the challenges, we had to write the descriptions, and ensuring that the descriptions had really great wording that wasn't again, making it like folks of color were victims to this issue, and really using empowering language. and then also creating a website where we could put it on. And then every single participant got an email every single day with the challenge. So like, welcome to day 3. Here are your choices of your challenges. And then we also had to write reflection questions for each day. So again, that takes a lot of time and work. And I'm not saying that you have to do all that, but in some ways it could take a lot of time. What Rosemary is showing is just like maybe Rosemary, you can share this part. It's a Google Doc where we'll share this with you too as a template where you can just kind of dump ideas. And like every time you read a really cool article or a really cool podcast, you can just like put it on here and then develop your themes and the length of time and, how, and what it is. And so this is how we kind of did it. And then we started organizing it by themes. Rosemary, you want to share that? Okay.
Sure. Yeah. So we're running out of time because we want to throw you all in there to have fun with this. And this was a great way of approaching the project, though, is we Quay made this awesome spreadsheet for us, and literally I would sit around in my PJs on Sundays, like looking up articles or stories or podcasts and things. And then I would add them in here. She would come in, take a look, say, oh yeah, I like that one, I don't like that one. Or she would have added something. And then we had more than we needed. And then the idea was we would whittle it down each week. And each week, one of the things we really made a change with on the second time round was ensuring that we had really intrusive and insightful questions, things that would really make people think and then be prepared to do. So instead of saying, like, what are you going to do about this? Giving some real specific guidelines. And while this was a tremendous amount of work, don't be scared to take it on. There's no rules that say you have to do 3 things every day of your challenge. So for example, you can also just copy ours. You can just use what we've done as a starting point, or pick and choose some of the modules. Like maybe your group really needs to understand some of these basics. Just use ours, for heaven's sake, if it works for you. And you don't have, like, this website was a lot of work because it involved, we wanted it to be accessible to the whole community. If you have your own organization and this is inside of your own organization, you could basically share, the spreadsheet and say, okay, so day 1, give people what they need to do each day and they can choose right from there. So if you have a webmaster around, use that person. If not, you can simplify it quite a bit. So I think that is the main thing. We really want to give you a chance to play with this a little bit. So these are some of our lessons that we learned. It was a little harder than it looked, but it's not impossible. And I think it was a good team from my perspective, because as a teacher, I have practice breaking down big questions and big ideas and putting them into smaller pieces. Quay had a lot of experience in the content and in the activism. And then, so find your people and put together a team. If you happen to be white, make sure that you have other folks in the room. Understand that you're going to have people who didn't know that racism existed, and you're going to have people who are ready to dismantle all structures and defund the police. So realize you have that whole range, and that you need to think about what where are, I call them the on-ramps, where can people access this information? And so, yeah, so it's not perfect. We got called out on only a couple of things, I think, but a couple of times where we could have been more understanding about the impact versus the intent. So again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can use ours, you can pick and choose, and there's probably a lot more out there now. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen because I keep having technical difficulties with this. And what we're going to do right now is put you into breakout groups, and each of you will have a slide that you're going to work on. So actually, I'm going to put the link in the chat.
Okay, so we have 30 participants. Everyone's in a couple different breakout rooms. Rosemary, if you put those in the chat, just so everyone knows, you need to open it before you leave your breakout room, because otherwise it's not going to be able to show up.
Okay. Yeah, and what you're going to come to is this set of slides right here. And again, we don't anticipate that you're going to get all the way through them, but just to kind of put you through the steps that we would go through is each slide has a theme. So theme 1 is getting started. So you can pick any one of these to start with. Cruise around the internet, find a YouTube video, podcast, an article. What would your topic be? What would the source be? And could you create a question about this theme related to the activity? And see, everyone is going to get this to take, to have access to. So the idea is at the end of this workshop, we'll have a few more activities built around the various themes. So we've got higher education, COVID-19 healthcare, housing, appropriations, social media. So whatever one you get, I hope that you'll have some fun with it and give it a shot. And then we'll come back and do a little share out. So I think.
Yeah, and as you're thinking about, I think I'm just going to add on to the challenge is whatever you pick, have it be less than 15 minutes, either a 15-minute read, a 15-minute video, or 15-minute podcast. So that will be a harder challenge, because you have to think that people aren't going to necessarily sit through an hour podcast. Some of us would, that are definitely much more interested in the topic, but for someone who's new, you want to try to be yes, I have time right now to do a 15-minute podcast, or do a quick read. So Rosemary, you're going to put the links in the chat before we open the room?
I just put the link in the chat.
Okay.
And so I would encourage you to, go ahead and get that up on your browser, and then go for the breakout rooms, and we'll give you about 10 minutes.
Right.
And they could just pick any of those topics, or
whatever breakout room is your slide. So if you're in breakout room 1, you're in slide 1. So it's
okay.
just this is just a practice thing. So hopefully you get a topic that resonates for you.
Okay. It's 12:34 right now. I'm going to open the breakout rooms.
We'll give you 15 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. And we'll come back then.
I love that cat photo.
I know, that's one of my students.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's one of my Ed 200 students. I'm sorry, I'm having this. I don't know what's going on. I have a new computer and it doesn't know all my passwords. So I think that's my problem.
That's okay.
I apologize.
How many participants do we have, Nadia?
Right now.
Oh, I could check myself, I guess. Huh?
They're all in breakout rooms now. So I'm not sure. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick, and then we'll come back.
All right.
Because she didn't make you host?
She did not.
Okay.
She made you co-host though.
Okay. Because we have someone here. Katie Granger?
Katie, you still here?
Maybe she stepped away.
Yeah, she probably did. I feel bad that we didn't get anyone to talk. I felt like we talked all the time, but we weren't. I mean, it went by so fast. I didn't think we talked that long.
Well, and we can kind of pop around the breakout rooms if you want. Those won't get recorded.
I feel like when you do that, you kind of disrupt their flow, but I don't know. I think they can figure it out. I love the diversity in the room though. Did you see there was
Yeah.
somebody from
Yeah.
like a university of somewhere?
Yep.
That was kind of cool.
Motorola Solutions. We're being recorded right now, by the way. So, hi, participants. Jefferson University. Why do I feel that's in Florida?
That's cool.
Okay, I'm gonna go and get, I want to make sure I have the links.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself and
Okay.
continue, but I'm still here. Someone's trying to connect, but I don't think we can add them to a breakout room because we're not hosts.
I can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah. Shalyn, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right, but if
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, what do you need help with?
Well, I'm Lisa. Hi.
Hi. Is this a
So-
technical question or a question for Quay and Rosemary?
Well, I don't know. I don't have a slide that we're supposed to be working on.
Okay, I can resend.
I have the Google presentation. So we
Yeah,
just
that's the slide.
select
So
one of those.
this is, I believe that you're in breakout room 7, so you would pick slide 7 and then work on that one.
Okay, I didn't know that. And so, so do I launch the Google chat that's in this chat, that it's in this breakout room?
Yeah, you can. 1 second.
Okay, because I launched it before. It's the same one I launched before when we were in the group. So I guess I don't have enough knowledge about what the next steps are. My friend Lorraine is in another meeting, and so she's really.
Okay, no worries. I will go. I'm gonna leave real quick. I'm gonna go ask other people if they can come join this one because there's a couple groups that have too many people.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Thanks.
so I'll go ask those.
Thank you.
Leave breakout room.
Because they go through them in pretty short and sweet, but it covers a lot of ground in that description.
Hi everyone. I was just wondering if anyone from this group wanted to join group 7 because they only have one participant that's talking right now to herself.
Aw.
Yeah. So I was wondering, maybe Esperanza or Cassidy, are either of you available to?
What's their topic?
It's slide 7, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with that.
Okay, I'm trying to.
I'll go
Okay,
back.
Cassie, I'll move you.
I don't
to-
even see a slide 7.
Yeah.
Okay, one
So
sec.
is there supposed to be a 7th group?
There are 7. There are, I think, about 10 groups. So I'm trying to see.
Oh, that's interesting because I only see through slide 6, theme 6.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Then it might be slide 6.
All right.
Yeah, but you guys are fine because you. Let's see, Carol. You are all in group 3.
Mhm.
We're
So-
talking about healthcare.
Good. Yeah. Go. Okay. I'm gonna go back to the main room. You guys are doing great.
Okay.
So, okay. Bye. Oh my God, those. So many people keep leaving breakout rooms, so then they're like calling me like, "Hi, I left and alone."
Oh no.
Yeah, no, but it's okay because this is what I've trained for my whole life.
So what happens? You mean so now they're by themselves in the room?
Yeah, now they're by themselves in the room. Oh my God, those. And
Should we think about bringing people back?
do you want to? I had 8 more minutes on my timer, but because the group I was in, they were like chatting it up
Okay.
about their slide. So where there are people, they're good. But
Okay.
I'm gonna go check in.
Maybe we could combine people who are, but looks like, yeah, just combine rooms.
Yeah, I'm combining a couple people. I'm gonna go check on the rooms and make sure everyone's good.
Okay, and then maybe you could just ask how many more minutes they'd like, and so we can.
Of systemic racism and the way it shows up in your space.
Yeah, just popping in. Is everyone good? Everyone, we have like 5 more minutes on the timer, just letting everyone know. But it looks like you all are doing great. So I'm just gonna pop into the different rooms. Any
Thanks for
questions?
checking on us.
Yeah. All right, cool. Just making sure everyone's okay here. Just popping into the rooms. We have about like 5 more minutes on the timer.
Got it.
Letting you all know.
Yeah.
And I guess that would be systemic racism.
Guarding it.
Hi, just popping in, making sure everyone's okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, we have like about 5 more minutes on the timer, so just letting you all know.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a really good idea.
Food pantries are awesome too.
Everyone doing okay here? Just checking in. We have about 5 more minutes on the timer, just making sure everyone's doing good.
We're doing social media, so I guess clarification, are we just picking a topic and then addressing how social media has impacted that?
Yeah, I think so. Because the other group I was talking to was doing systemic racism and doing that.
Okay.
So good. Great.
I'm a dietitian there, and a colleague whom I've been working on some staff wellness projects with the advent of COVID, we've been doing a weekly newsletter and trying to provide more resources for holistic well.
Okay, I just checked in and everyone's doing good. And yeah, they're all, I like walk in and they're just like talking and chatting.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's really the main idea, I think, and that we're hoping to generate conversation.
and then I don't know if so I said like 5 more minutes, so around 12:50. Do you want? Also, I can broadcast messages to everyone. So if you guys have anything that you want me to say.
Yeah, so maybe in like 3 minutes, we could be like, okay, start wrapping it up. We're gonna close the breakout room in 1 minute.
Okay, I'm gonna send them. So do you want me to shut down or bring everyone back at 12:50? Okay.
But don't you think Rosemary's 10 minutes good?
Yeah, that should be plenty. I think even if we give them like 3 more, yeah, that's 3 more minutes. And then because we want to give them a chance to share out
And ask questions.
and ask questions. And then I've got the link ready to drop in the chat. I mean, it's in the chat. I just haven't put enter yet. I'll wait till everybody's back in so I can drop it there. And then I know you all gave us a link to a OneDrive, and I'll make a sheet to put in there with the links to the information.
Sounds good.
How's the conference going so far?
It's going great. I have like 3 different chat messages open of like everyone I'm talking to, and it's like this, and then this. I don't know. I love the people I work with, and we are just all so happy. I'm glad that we got to hear you talk. And I was assigned at random because I just wanted to see what like people were talking about. So I love, yeah.
Now you all have done an outstanding
Yeah.
job getting this all coordinated and put together, and I'm super impressed, and I love all the variety of topics that you've managed to incorporate. And they all seem really like there's a big demand for them.
Yeah, it was so, it's just like inspiring to see how many people want to talk about these issues, and picking those themes, you know, they have to be broad enough so that there can be a lot of conversation, but specific enough so that there's, you know, those themes that we can talk about. So
Oh wow, we got some serious stuff going on these slides. So not all of them got much, but that's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's just the idea of the whole point of that was to kind of crack the ice of what it's like to get started on building this. And it looks great. Wow, the theme 3 has almost a whole section plan, and housing and COVID and social media and appropriations.
yeah, I think right now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups, and they have about like 3 to 5 people in them.
Yeah, what I think we should probably start wrapping it, if you can send them that, like close it, and it gives them a minute, doesn't it, to still wrap up their conversations?
Yeah, you just close them, you get 60 seconds.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you lead out on this, Quay.
Okay.
I need that background that you are.
You want me to send it to you?
Yes, please, because I had a hard time finding this one. This is just like off the library page.
Okay.
I want the one with all the letters painted in.
I have that one too. Yeah.
Hi, Peggy. If you can hear us, we are just wrapping up some breakout room sessions, and everyone's coming back to the.
There we go.
And we're back.
Rosemary, do you want to share your screen?
Yes, I will.
Welcome back, everyone. We hope you had some great discussion and just get a little bit of a taste of what it would be like if you were to start your own challenge. We only have 10 minutes left, so we want to leave some time for anybody to ask questions, as well as if any of the groups want to share. So feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand, but do we have any volunteers who kind of want to share just a little bit of, you know, what they did in their group? I guess, who is part of theme 3 since we have it up?
We were part of team 3. Yeah, so I think we got through 2/3 of it. Yeah, I can see how time limitations can impact it, but we also got lucky because healthcare inequity is such a hot topic right now.
Sorry, I lost you.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
And the main thing was trying to find like a reliable source. So we were actually able to find everything on the CDC website. And so they had a great piece that's like short enough, easy read that talks about the health inequity in racial and ethnic groups. And so that's our big picture kind of overview. And then, you know, we ask them to identify sources of inequity in healthcare that they can think of. And then as the more historical one, we use the Tuskegee study. And then, so we did find a CDC article on that as well. And the question posed was, how does this connect with the current hesitancy for those communities of color to get vaccinated? So that was kind of our question for them to reflect on. And then we got on the current what to do. The CDC actually has a whole section on what to do, and based off of what sector you're trying to reach or how, like, what your capacity is. And mainly it was about connecting with others and educating. So that's really kind of the action is connecting with groups and trying to get correct information out there to those communities so that so you get them engaged to have the information to make a more informed decision and whether they want to do it versus them just, you know, basing everything on the bad that's happened, but trying to give them the information so they can make a educated choice. So that's what we did.
Awesome. Thank you. Desiree, is that right? So I think that's a perfect example when, you know, in terms of like that third option, you can also list the websites of like our local health department or, you know, where seniors right now can get vaccinated. So like those are all things like when you think about your local perspective, like how you can really help bring information to those who are doing the challenge, because sometimes it's really hard to find. But that's great. Does anybody else want to share? Or we can just pick. I mean, who else would love to, would like to volunteer?
I'm gonna move it to, is there anyone in group 4? You all did a pretty thorough job here.
This is awesome. Who is in group 4?
I can talk about it. One of my group members had to leave and the other isn't feeling well. So
thank you, Samantha.
Thank you.
So we didn't talk very much about what we found because none of us are very experienced with it, but the YouTube link is for NPR's Code Switch. Mm-hmm. And like, I already know that NPR does a lot of vetting of their sources, so I felt comfortable putting that there. And then one of our other group members chimed in that they had just watched it in their class. So, and it was beneficial. As a white person, I thought of the reflection question, how have you benefited from this system of oppression? But if people, that is white centered. So one of my group members pointed out, well, let's talk about how people have been hurt as well. So we added that to our question. I'm in LA. And so I included, there's actually a few more links that I've added since this was shared. But they have like a toolkit to teach all grade levels about homelessness. LASA, which is LA's like homeless organization that's working on it. They're like committed to racial equity. And so they've done this whole survey of their programs and are working on implementing things. And there's a report linked in a nonprofit quarterly article there.
That's great. I mean, Samantha, you're highlighting how many resources are out there just in like the short 10 minutes that you had. Like there's so much at our fingertips. And so in some ways, Rosemary and I didn't mention about how much we learned through this process. Like it was such a, life-altering experience for us. As someone who's been doing racial justice for a long time, like you're never done learning. And so for me, it gave me an opportunity to just dive in a little bit more and look at so many different resources. But I think vetting it, we also try to use a lot of pop culture resources like we had Teen Vogue, or, you know, we did a lot of BuzzFeed, or, you know, just things that we vetted, but were something that could be easily watched, or, you know, just more accessible to different age groups or whatnot. And so we really try to do a variety of different sources. And so that's something to look into, and to also play into what you know. So I think you had mentioned someone that watched a video from their class. So like if you've already seen a lot of things, like start writing down things that have really struck you and like really was effective in helping you learn something. And so that's also a great way to start. Okay, we were running out of time. Rosemary, should we try to wrap it up, or just open it up for anybody that has questions, who are thinking about doing a challenge within your organization? If you have a logistical question or anything like that, we just wanted to give some time for that.
Yeah, and just to apologize to you all, to throw you into that project and then yank you right back out. I'm gonna add, I just added the link to the main slide deck, which also inside of it has a link to the deck that you all just contributed to. As well, I'll have a resource available on the OneDrive for the conference. And it's just mean to have just an hour for this, because I feel like you all were just starting to do some incredible work. And Samantha, I honed right in on that question that you were talking about. And I think that for me, that just really illustrates how this process can, like Clay said, it can help us learn as we're designing these things. I learned so much from Clay and from the other team members. And I really appreciate the way that you had the humility and the openness to take that suggestion and incorporate it. The two of you together, or the group of you together, made something better than each one of you could have done separately. So the fact that you all got that far in that short of period of time, it shows us that you got the main idea, but we're available too. If you want to brainstorm, you're welcome to use pretty much everything that we shared. If you want to copy our work at least.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We can answer them. Or Rosemary, you want to just put up our emails, so you can also
sure.
email us.
Yes.
As you are, in your club or your nonprofit or your university, you come across doing, a 21-day challenge, feel free to email us if you have any questions. Some people ask us questions about how we made our website, how we picked our pictures. So even like really small details, feel free to reach out to us. Yeah, you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, thank you so much, Quay and Rosemary, for your session and for teaching us so much about that. And thank you everyone for being here. Don't forget to fill out our survey for the CSQ to enter our giveaways. I put it in the chat. I'll put it one more. And yeah, I will be here to answer any questions about, logistically schedules, contact info, etc. But yeah, everyone's dismissed, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.